I can only be talking about our very own Chris Harris, who represented New Zealand in 23 tests and 250 one-day internationals, scoring over 4,000 runs and taking 203 one-day international wickets. And that's what we'll be focusing in on, the white ball career of Chris Harris. No one has a bad word to say about Harry unless you're Chris Harris. Harry, you're going to hate this, aren't you? Talking about yourself.
Well, it's interesting hearing those stats. I reckon there was about 4,000 leg buys as well as runs. And you just think with a guy with an action like that and bowling at that, how could you possibly get 200 wickets? How could 200 people fall for that?
Okay, be honest. How do you think you got 200 wickets then?
Literally, the plan was I bowled so slow that by the time the ball got to the batsman, they literally had so many options. They played themselves out of form and just got out. You just gave them no pace, really, so they had to create pace. And in the era that I played, that was probably a difficult thing to do. On some of the slower wickets, it was hard. You're trying to create a run rate, and because it's so slow and not coming on, and because they saw me roll my fingers and thought that it might do something. But it's the art of deception. It did nothing, Daniel.
I remember you when you first started, though, when you still had a few sort of strands of hair sort of flapping up the top. You bent the bat, you swung it in. You were medium pace, right?
Yeah, I started off, well, you'll laugh at this. I actually went to a Dennis Lilly fast bowling clinic as about a...
And did he drive you straight back to the airport?
About a 15-year-old. No, and I think I reckon at one stage I hit, it was scary for most people, about 120 Ks. But I felt how hard that was with my action to do that. I felt my back breaking. And then literally the change came back, to be honest, with Glenn Turner, who we went to South Africa. I thought I'd done quite well. And Glenn sort of called a spade and said how it was. And he said, right, in the modern game, Chris, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're bowling little medium pace in-swingers. Everyone loves facing in-swing. So if you continue to bowl that, you don't really have a career in New Zealand.
Unless you're Waka Yunis and can bowl 150
Yeah, so he said either you need to find a way to learn how to bowl outswing, or you've got to find a way to get the ball to go away from the leg, from the right-hander, because we know you're quite handy in the field and you can handy with the bat in the middle order, but we need your bowling. We need you to have all three strings to your bow, so to speak. So you need to learn how to take the ball away, and spent a couple of summers in the UK playing league cricket, learning how to bowl sort of fast leg spin, and in the right conditions it goes away a little bit and just holds in the surface. And so that probably was when my one-day cricket was at its best, when I started doing that. So at the time I thought that was a bit harsh, but great reader of the game, he was absolutely right, Glenn Turner.
So you thank him now?
Often.
Yeah.
Don't see him very much. Yeah.
Big cricketing mind, Turns. Very big cricketing mind.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that would never come to you with advice, even though he could see you, if he saw you had an issue and he could sort it out in one session, he would only help you if you came to him. And I used him quite a lot with the batting, and I found him really, really useful. So, as a coach, sometimes you want the coach to come to you, but his style was, I'm here to help, I'm a resource. If you need my help, I'll help you all day long, but you've got to ask for it.
Tell me about you as a youngster. Cricketing in the blood, cricketing in the family. You were always going to play cricket, weren't you?
Had a tough upbringing as a young... As soon as I could walk, really, I had two older brothers, which was bad when you're younger. It's a bit more fun now. But literally from 3 years old when I could walk till 6, I would just spend 3 years in the field. And I don't think I would have been in trouble today, because if I dropped a catch, I used to get beaten up, basically. So literally, I would get beaten up, go to mum crying, and she'd go, did you drop another catch? So I learnt very early. Fielding was very important, and if I didn't want to get beaten up, I had to learn how to be effective in the field and not drop a catch, because if I dropped a catch, it meant the guy, Tim or Ben, who was bowling, wouldn't get to bat. So yeah, I learned, and then I got to bat. And then what happened is when I used to they'd get like 10 bats each, and I'd get one bat, and it would normally be the end of the day. And if they'd bowl about 6 balls to me each, and if they got sick of it, they'd just go, yeah, that's out, LBW. I've just hit it for 4 through the covers. That's out. Yeah.
Older brothers are the worst. So, in a perverse way, did they help you become the fielder that you are, because you were internationally renowned as one of the best going? Yeah,
well, so when I first started playing like club cricket, I thought if I dropped a catch, the team would just come and beat me up, because that's what I was used to. No, but look, I have to give them credit, because being sort of sort of 5 and 6 years older than me. As we got a little bit older, I felt like all my cricket, sort of batting, bowling, fielding, I had to lift it to another level just to compete with them, because they were 5 and 6 years older than me. So I think being the youngest really helped me. I mean, they gave me some pretty tough lessons, but in the long term, I had to up my level of intensity and quality, I guess, just to compete. So yeah, in the long term, they were very, very helpful.
And of course, having a international cricket playing father, how much did you want to follow in those footsteps?
Yeah, you always want to follow in your father's footsteps. Didn't really want to go down the dentistry route because he was a dentist. Couldn't imagine spending sort of 7 or 8 hours of my day looking to other people's mouths, but definitely wanted to follow in his footsteps as far as playing cricket as far as I could. And I guess, if I'm being honest, I wanted to represent New Zealand because he did. It was pretty sad. He died well before his time at 63. But I guess the one silver lining, if there can be, to anyone dying earlier than they should, was he actually got to see me represent New Zealand. I think he watched me play my first one-dayer against Australia, where I managed, I think I got 14 not out and took 1 for 36 off 6 overs or something at the SCG. And he got to see that, and he got to see my first sort of series. So in some ways that was a blessing that, at least he got to see me represent New Zealand, which was pretty special.
Must have been a crushing blow. He's gone a year later, and he's gone a few months before the incredible heroics of that team at the 1992 Cricket World Cup. Yeah,
I mean, it's never a fun time regardless of when it happens, but yeah, I was at a quite an impressible age at sort of 20 years old, maybe just turned 21. So yeah, from my point of view, it was far too early, so that was tough, and it took me a long time to get over it, to be honest. As you get older, you learn to, I guess, deal with things.
You learn to deal with it, don't you?
Yeah, and
you never get over it.
No, you never get over it, but you understand that sort of things move on, but you just don't realise the importance of it at that young age, and it took me a long time to get over it and still sort of think about it, probably 5 or 6 years. So it affects you for a long time. So that was tough.
He would have been immensely proud what you achieved at the end of the career. Let's talk about, as a young man, 1992, that wild ride at that World Cup, so unexpected, because I'll call a spade here, Harry. You were mud as a team in the lead up to that.
We were terrible. We played England in a one-day series leading up to the World Cup and lost 3-0. And it was only
didn't get over 200 in any of the games.
We played so bad, it was a 3-match series, and we should have lost 4-0. Oh, yeah, we were terrible. But in saying that, Warren Lees and Martin Crowe and a few others, but particularly those two, had spent so much time in planning, 12 months in the planning to the World Cup. Different things we're going to try, fielding positions, just having a line on the offside, the wickets being a little bit slower, perhaps looking at opening with different types, maybe slow, medium pace, maybe spin.
Rotate the seamers every game, it seemed. Couple of over spells.
Short spells.
Lots of
quick through
innovation.
The overs. There was lots of innovation. And so I think we didn't use much of that in that English series, and I think so much was focused on the World Cup that perhaps we took the eye off the ball. In some ways it could have helped us, because it was like, that was probably the kick in the pants that we needed. And then it was like we turn up. And look, all of these things were theories leading into the 92 World Cup. As I said, quick between the overs, a spinner opening the bowling or a slow bowler, the line on the offside to make sides try and force hitting over the top, creating some chances, and then really quick through the overs and all those sort of things. And it was like, oh yeah, it could work. But then I guess the big thing for us also was we had a bit of a stigma against Australia, the Australian side. So the other big thing that we did that was massive looking back, at the time it didn't seem that relevant, but looking back now, was we weren't actually playing the opposition, we were playing a colour. So Australia was just the yellow team, and then so on and so on. So it took away, I guess, that, not the underdog tag, but that sort of stigma that had over us for a long time. And it was like we're taking on the yellow team. And then a lot of the things that Warren and Martin had planned just worked perfectly. Dipak opening the bowling really well, going through all the overs, chopping and changing quickly, and the fact that Martin Crowe came out and scored 100.
Well, he was a genius, but he was at the peak of his powers that tournament.
Oh, it was phenomenal. And Ken Rutherford got a really good 50. I think Chris Cairns and I chipped in with sort of 15 or 16 each. And it was just, it gave us a total...
and a bit of belief.
Yeah, and a bit of belief that was that we could defend it. I can't remember what the exact number was, but it was quite a good number at the time. It was sort of 240, 250.
Yep.
And then what we had to do was field well. We actually had a really good bowling attack for those conditions, but in good conditions. It was a pretty, medium pace sort of bowling attack. But we worked on being really accurate, being supported in the field. And the fielding that day, I remember, was, was amazing. There was I managed to get a good running out David Boone towards the end.
Good run out.
Which was quite
Harry.
good. Chris Cairns took a great catch.
Immediately trying to dive it. You ask a lot of young impressionable fans of that time. They'll remember that run out of David Boone, who made a brilliant 100. He's coming back to the non-strikers end. You've hit it from what side on? From how far? And be honest.
I was out at deep mid-wicket. I picked it up by the time I'd let it go. It was probably 40 metres. All I remember was throwing it and thought, that's quite a good throw, as Gavin Larson was at the bowler's end. And all I remember is thinking, this is going to be out. And David Boone was maybe 3/4 of the way down.
He was giving up.
And then literally the ball, I promise you, in my eyes, was 5 or 6 metres away. And all I remember saying was Gavin Larson putting his hands up in the air. And I'm going, what are you doing? Just catch it. And then the ball hit the stumps, bails went flying, and then there was just silence. It felt to me like for about 20 seconds. And then the crowd just 5 seconds later just erupted the realisation that it had hit the stumps, David Boone was short as ground, the umpire had given it out. That was probably going to win us that game. There was still a wee bit of work to be done, but David Boone was 100 not out. He was the one guy that could still win it for them, and that was probably the final nail in the coffin. And for it to happen that way was pretty special. And I just remember the crowd going nuts, the team coming around me and just, yes, come on. And that was pretty cool.
What's it like, Eden Park, when the crowd's that engaged?
It was one of my favourite. I mean, obviously, being a Canterbury boy, Lancaster Park was always special, but Eden Park for me was always really special. The crowds back then were amazing, so supportive. Everyone tended to overindulge, so there was always something to watch if the cricket was a bit boring. But the crowds were just, I thought at Eden Park were absolutely amazing. Used to love playing there. And that 92 World Cup, the support we got after that Australian game, I remember Mark Greybatch and I used to go to the ground early just to absorb the atmosphere because it became such a special time. The crowds were amazing. It was just such an electric atmosphere that you wanted to be part of. We were literally going to the ground an hour, 2 hours early, and then that ride we went on for that next 6 weeks was just unbelievable.
Yeah, the momentum, running downhill. So you beat the yellow team, there's blue teams, you beat green teams. Well, we'll get onto the green team a little bit later, red team, but it must have been just amazing. And what, day by day, were you just puffing your chests out going, actually, Wally and Martin are right, we can beat anyone.
Yeah, just the belief. And then I guess the other thing that really absolutely changed as well, John Wright got out early in that Australian game, carried a bit of an injury, and then bringing Mark Greybatch in to open the batting. That was probably the next step that just took us to that next level. So for me, we had the bowling and the fielding sorted in our conditions, and that was just the missing cog, if you like, in the batting lineup.
Yeah, putting the South Africans onto the roof at Eden Park,
and that belief that Paddy not only what he doesn't understand, and perhaps he does, not only the confidence that he gained because the way he played, the confidence and the belief that it gave the rest of the team. I'll never forget that South African game. Ian Smith and I were sitting in the stand watching at Eden Park, just outside the players' thing, and we looked, and this is now it's norm, but I'm pretty sure we were 114 for none after 15 overs against South Africa, and Ian Smith and I just looked at each other and started laughing and said, can you believe this? Have you ever seen it? I mean, it literally felt like we got 1,000 runs. It just, that was a good attack. Yeah, it was against an amazing attack, and Paddy just went out and destroyed them. We're 115 or 114 off 15 overs. That had never happened before, and it was like, you know what? Everything we're trying is just coming off. This is fantastic.
Yeah, running down the wicket to Malcolm Marshall, slapping him over his
head cover.
Incredible.
Courtney Ambrose over short third man. I mean, it was everything just fell into place, and right until the end.
I can understand if it was the best time of your cricketing life, those few weeks. Was it the worst couple of hours as Pakistan just kept fighting, staying in it in the semi-final, and a crushing sort of defeat?
Those words just keep ringing in my ears. Fight like cornered tigers. Yeah. Imran Khan, I can't believe it. It's funny walking around now. It was so surreal when we lost that semi-final at Eden Park because we'd scored enough runs, and a lot of things transpired that sort of didn't go away. But I look back now, and I was a young man, so I didn't realise perhaps the importance of that moment. I certainly do now. I remember seeing Mark Greatbatch, Rod Latham, Martin Crowe, tears in their eyes, Ken Rutherford, Danny Morrison, as we're walking around thanking the crowd. I was emotional, but I wasn't quite to that level because I was 22, fresh in my international career, not really understanding how important that moment was and how close we came. Because I think we all knew that if we won that semi-final, there was a really good chance we were going to win the final against England and Melbourne. Just because we'd already beaten them and we felt we had the wood over them, and that was just, we had that game in control and it just got taken away from us from a couple of, one really special innings from Inzamano Hart, who got, I think, 64 off 34 balls again, which was like a bit like the Mark Greatbatch situation, was a score that you wouldn't normally see at that time in that era. But as I was saying, walking around the ground, they're all crying. I was emotional, but the importance of that one moment in time, how close we were to coming into winning a World Cup, and then the realisation at the end of my career, actually how hard those things are to win, and why those guys, the more senior guys, were that emotional, because we had an opportunity, and unfortunately in the final hour, we let it slip.
You had 3 more cracks at a World Cup. Let's go to 1996. You get through to a quarter-final. You and Lee Jamon combine and give New Zealand a great chance to beat Australia. You're 130 off 124 balls with 13 fours and 4 sixes. I still, without a word of a lie, Harry, one of the most underappreciated one-day knocks in New Zealand cricket history. Were you seeing it like the proverbial
It's
beach
funny.
ball?
It was one of those situations where it's probably the best that I've ever played. Certainly
Because
against...
you're coming in real trouble. The 3 down for 40.
3 for 44.
Yeah.
I mean, like the lead up to the story, it's quite funny because I think it was, trying to remember, was it Gavin or Danny that got injured? Because I wasn't playing. And one of them who didn't play, was it Danny or Gavin?
Both didn't play.
Oh, okay, well, I think Gavin was down to play and he got injured, so I got called in. And then we had a team meeting, and Glenn Turner, again, right on the button, he said, right, we're playing Australia. For us to beat Australia, we have to score 300. And he went sort of through how...
Bowling unit recoiled.
Yeah, sorry, we're playing Glenn McGrath, Shane Warne, Damien Fleming, Paul Rifle.
Stacked team.
Yeah, good side. Mark Moore, Steve Moore. Anyway, to make a long story short, he said, right, Gavin's injured. Right, Harry, you're coming in. Right, you're batting 5. And I don't know if he'd seen the rest of my World Cup, but I couldn't hit the ball off the square. It was like, oh, Glenn, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't pick me, but you have. And he said, not only that, he said, you're going to bat 5, and because you're left-handed, we want you to take on Warne, and we need to score 300, so you've just got to go out and smash Warne. And I said, yeah, I haven't had the best World Cup, but because you want me to, and because I love the challenge, I'll give it a go. But deep down thinking...
That's why you're the great team man that all your teammates
I don't know about
will
that.
always tell you about.
But just
so how do you take that assignment? Right, I have to target Shane Warne.
Yes, I didn't think too much about that, but as you said, we were 3 for 40, and it was funny because I've spoken to the Australians since, and they just said they went through the team meeting as you do, and you go through all the players, and they said the 2 players wouldn't even bother discussing was you and Lee Jamon. And I said, oh, thanks for that. You didn't really have to tell me that. So anyway, Lee was out there and he was pumped up because he wanted to prove a point, as everyone does, and he played like out of his skin as well. We were 3 for 40. Spears had gone out early, Astle out early. Flem hit a flying cut shot to Steve Waugh off Glenn McGrath, caught it point. So I've come in, we're 3 for 44, and we've got to score 300. And the top order's just been knocked over. And to be fair...
Toozy's grumpy because he's batting behind you.
To be
that
fair...
guy Turner must not rate me.
And to be fair, the wicket was pretty flat, but because we were being so aggressive and going after it, I mean, the Aussies are still pretty good on a good batting surface. Anyway, batted Glenn McGrath, I think, like past the outside edge, and then he bounced me and hit me in the gloves. And I just thought, oh no, we've got to score 300. So, right, next time it's short, I'm just going to get in position, no matter where it is, I'm going to take him on. Fortunately, it just ended up being in the right area, and I pulled him for 6.
Jumping pull, stroking, you're away.
And that sort of got me underway. And Lee just said, well, you know the plan, we've just got to keep going. He said, be selective, but if it's in our zone, actually, even if it's not in our zone, let's just be positive and go for it. And we both did. And yeah, it was one of the most cool partnerships I've involved in, because it was literally 2 guys that probably not only we, but the rest of the world didn't expect it to come from against Australia, and we managed to put on 166 or something. We ended up scoring 287, I think, and to be honest, we blew it a little bit at the end. Guys came in and just couldn't get going, couldn't get momentum. And if I firmly believe now, if we'd got over 300, we would have won that game. We had a couple of opportunities. There was a couple of missed chances that ended up costing us. As it transpired, they won reasonably comfortably with a couple of overs
because
to spare.
Of that genius Mark Waugh, right?
Yeah, he played out of his skin.
Player.
Steve Waugh got 50.
Stuart Law
got 50 as well.
Played a bit of a blinder towards the end.
But we'd put them under pressure. Shane Warne came in, and it was a bit of a turning point. He got dropped to Goober, unfortunately, by Dipak Patel. Kenzie Bottle, brilliant slow ball, hit it up. I think before he'd scored, literally lobbed up to mid-on, a bit like some of the catches today, and just got dropped. And then he got he slogged a couple of sixes, got a real quick fire, like 28 or 30, and it just switched because Australia at that time was just behind the 8 ball, and that 30 off 12 or 13 balls just was the difference. But yeah, we didn't finish off our batting innings either. But so that first 3 hours, I'll never forget it because I think I bowled 10 overs on the trot as well and cramped that night like you wouldn't believe. Like you get cramp in one leg and you're in agony. I'm screaming. I was rooming with Dipak Patel, and then the other leg starts cramping. And here I am expecting a little bit of sympathy from Dipak saying, "Oh, I'll help you stretch, Harry." And he's just laughing so hard. He's wetting himself. Said, "Thanks, Dip. You're a lot of use."
10 overs, no maidens, none for 41.
Yeah. So it felt like
you did the job.
Yeah, but I look at that innings again. First half, really happy with the way I played. Knew we were a bit short, but knew if we bowled and fielded well. So went from feeling like I'd played the best innings I could to that utter disappointment that we've just been knocked out of a 96 quarter-final World Cup against a very good Australian side. Another opportunity that perhaps we let slip as well.
They lose a final, of course, to Sri Lanka, that famous boil over. Sri Lanka actually win it quite easily, don't they, with Aravinda. Just what a genius he was too. So then only 3 years later, talk about contrast, you go from that tournament in very hot conditions to one in May, wasn't it? In England, 1999.
Yeah, it felt cold.
The turquoise.
I remember we had silver jackets that were like out of something from sort of NASA. It was like sort of astronaut stuff. And my gosh, we needed it. I remember being at Derby playing Pakistan. I reckon it was about 6 degrees. It was freezing. So it was a contrast. But that was another pretty special World Cup that unfortunately, was that semi-final against... Oh, that was devastating against Pakistan. To be fair, that wasn't one that we got hammered. We got hammered. I remember Shoaib Akhtar bowled the speed of light, and when he wasn't bowling the speed of light, he bowled that slow ball off spinner that was good enough to get me out. But yeah, they had a pretty good attack, and then I think it was Saheed Anwar came out, played an unbelievable innings.
He was a serious player.
I remember they were about 230. They were 200 for none. And Jeff Ellett came in and got...
Jeff Ellett, like 20 wickets? I think he was leading wicket table or equal?
Yeah. He got Anwar...
He was in the form of his life.
Yeah, he got Anwar out, LBW, and they were 201 for 1 or something, and it was like, they only needed about 30. So that was the one time where we played really well up until then, had to battle, got to the semi-final, and again, that was... I guess a missed opportunity, but we were very much outplayed in that game.
Yeah, but Pakistan won the right to be crushed by that all-time sort of Australian team of 1999.
And they did get crushed, didn't they?
They probably shouldn't have been there. That's one for the South African cricket fans. Of course, Klusner and Donald. Your last World Cup. An interesting tournament in South Africa and Kenya. One a lot of fans might not remember. Kenya made it through to the semi-finals, but politics got involved here. I don't think you guys played particularly good cricket, but we
did enough to get through.
You did enough to get through to the Super Sixes. Everyone remembers Shane Bond's 6 for against Australia,
which we lost.
Yeah,
against Port. I think it was at Port Elizabeth. They were 70 for 7.
Andy Bickle,
Andy Bickle got 60 or something terrible,
dirty.
And they ended up getting 180, and I think we got bowled out for about 112. Yeah, they were phenomenal. We had an opportunity to put them to bed then. And it was just one of those situations where, and I still think today, Flem did the right thing, bowled Bondi out, trying to knock him over, because they were 7 for 70. Literally got one more wicket. And I think Brett Lee got sort of 30 as well, and it was
the kind of move Brendan McCullum would later do with like Trent Bolt and stuff.
It was the right decision. It just didn't work. they saw what we were trying to do and just got through it. And it wasn't a great wicket, but if we'd bowled them out for 120, there's no question we would have won. But they got away from us, got 180. Again, a couple of missed opportunities in the field. I know there was a couple of drop catches and a missed run out to get rid of Andy Bickle, but yeah. So, that was disappointing. But that was also the World Cup where, pretty sure that was the one where Sean Pollock and the coach got the
maths wrong.
Duckworth-Lewis wrong at the time, and thought they had it won, and they came off for rain, and they had tied the score, but in those
you needed to be one in front.
+1, and they were just tied, which meant they didn't go through, we did. So we got through to play, I think it was India in the quarterfinals, and lost, unfortunately.
Yeah. Super Sixes, I think, technically.
Super Sixes. Yeah.
And of course, Kenya's a big part of this. You didn't go.
Or we made the decision.
You didn't go to Kenya, and if you went to Kenya, you probably would have got through.
Yes, we would have had enough points.
Can you clear up? Whose decision was that?
Well, I remember playing, even without going to Kenya, we played India, and if we'd beaten them, we would have got through to...
And they slapped you.
Was that semi-final? Yeah, they won comfortably as well. So there was a decision early because there was lots of turmoil in Kenya and New Zealand cricket. And I think us at the time decided, right, we're not going to Kenya. And to be fair, New Zealand cricket made that decision. And at the time, the players were happy because, they had our best interests at heart. But as it transpired, as we got through the tournament,
the competitors in you
we had a couple of wins, we had a loss, and then we realised the importance of us not going to Kenya, because it meant we forfeited against Kenya and they got the points. But we would have won that game, obviously, because I think every time we played Kenya, we've beaten them. The players were saying, actually, we're prepared to risk it now. We want to go because we see this as an opportunity for us to win a World Cup. And to be fair to Martin Sneddon, who was CEO at the time, said the decision's been made. I know you want to go, but you're not going. I guess from his point of view, he thought if we went, something happened. It's on his head. So it was the right decision, but certainly the players changed their mind and we would have been happy to go.
In all those games, Harry, the stories I hear, your positivity, a great team, that energy. What do you miss about playing as we wrap this up?
Well, I've never retired. I'm still available, but I just never got picked again. I just miss the camaraderie, the team environment. I just love being in that heat of the battle with a mate at your other end or the team out in the field and, trying to do something special for your team and, whether it's trying to lift your team in the field or do something special with the bat. It's just really cool being a small part of a team that's trying to achieve some pretty cool things, and I love that feeling, love that environment, and just can't encourage enough people to, if you get that opportunity, just make the most of it, because before you know it, my international career was 10 or 11 years, my first class career was closer to 20, and it literally was gone in the blink of an eye, and I miss it every day. So just it might not be sport, whether it's life, your family, just make the most of every opportunity. Because those little opportunities that you look back on, you probably at the time don't realise how special they are. Just make the most of all of those little special opportunities, whether it be with your kids, things you do at work, with friends, whether it's your sporting, your team. Just make the most of it because it's over in a flash.
Great words. Those words certainly truly reflected on how you played the game. You were a cult figure, a cult hero to many New Zealand fans. Thank you for all you've done for New Zealand cricket. And we absolutely love and adore having you in the Sport Nation commentary box. And long may that continue, my friend.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. It's just, how good is this, though? We get to call cricket and watch something that we're passionate about and love doing. So hopefully we are good for the listeners and they enjoy what we bring. But I know you love it. I love it. What else would we rather be doing?
But I get to hang out with Chris Harris.
Poor you.
The one, the only Chris Zinzan Harris, reflecting on an extraordinary white ball career for New Zealand.